How do you think how do you think the lockdown has affected sports generally?
Radically, it has changed even the whole concept of our sporting profile and the sporting calendar. Importantly, the biggest sports event for the first time ever has been postponed. And even the postponement has come under scrutiny. Many questions have been asked whether it will even happen. So when the biggest sporting event, mankind's biggest sporting event has been postponed, you can imagine the dimension it will happen for other sports. And so it's, for me, it's a phenomenal adjustment all around. It was never envisaged. Even when people thought about it, the duration was something not calculated, and now there don't seem to be an end. That is even the worrisome nature of it, is that an end is not even imminent. And we are saying that if we cannot find a virus, it means that even the Olympics next year is in jeopardy. So everything now has a big question mark. Indeed, they talk about the new normal, but this is totally out of the normal.
How about football? How has it affected football?
I mean, if the Olympics, which was set for next month, has been postponed to next year, football, because it's big business in some climes, they've managed to get through some of the big leagues in Europe, where you had the casualty level was high. They went through it, they made the sacrifice. And I think they're beginning to understand the virus, and they're beginning to understand how to approach it. And they have accepted that it's going to be part of their modus vivendi. And in that sense, they've adjusted even their football calendar and their approach to holding their sports, because it's big business. Can you imagine the UK without the Premiership, or Spain without La Liga, or Italy without the Serie A? In terms of even bringing attention to the country itself, the amount of revenue being generated globally, it's not something you can just push aside. I think some of the countries that at the early stage decided to cancel the event totally are beginning to have a rethink. France, for instance, they ended it when they found out that this virus was out of manageable levels. But now they are beginning to see that you can get to play behind closed doors without the fans, and then use television like you are using now. Technology has become the new face of life, if you want to say, sight and sound combined. And if we get to hit the level of 5G, you are talking about another dimension in reach. The human mind itself, as I say, any problem that is constructed by the human mind can also find a solution therein. So I think we are looking at the solution. If we can't totally eradicate the virus, then we can manage it like we've seen of HIV and AIDS and all of that. So in the past we've had, but this has been totally out of the calculations. It's been a fundamental hit on the way we do things. And perhaps its own legacy will remain. I'm beginning to see a new shift towards sanitation. You wash your hands, things which people ordinarily didn't used to do. You keep away from the crowd. Even when you are within the crowd, you know that you have to control the way you conduct yourself. And then all around, countries are beginning to adjust now that they have to improve on their health facilities. When those within the corridors of power are beginning to see that they can't even enjoy their power because they don't have a healthy frame, they now know that the treasures have to be laid here at home. So you start building hospitals that will take care of incidents of ill health without going across the border, because even movement now across borders has become very tedious. You can imagine you boarding a flight to Abuja and they say come 2 hours or 3 hours before, and the whole process and the sitting, and then the flight itself, the arrival, the takeoff. It's my friend will call it that this is the big humbug.
But abroad, some matches have resumed, and you now have simulation of clappings and all that. How do you see all of this?
Share, my brother, it's not the same thing. It can never be the same thing. The game is a spectacle, and that spectacle includes those who are watching it and those who are acting it. And if one aspect of that spectacle is not there, then it's not total. It's not complete. But you see, the spectacle has found a second level of attention, which is television. Television now has carried its own eye to represent the eye of the majority, and so everybody is watching through the eye of television. But it's not the same thing like you staying on that, staying in the stands or staying in the VIP and screaming and shouting and going home feeling satisfied that you've gone through a moment of good sports. So the behind closed doors is it's good, it's tolerable, but it took players considerable time to adjust to the fact that they were playing inside a stadium where people were not. But now I think they are focused on the game, and so they are the standards are beginning to bounce back to what it used to be. And we hope that as long as they respect all the protocols, so also you get to adjust the fact that you are watching a game without fans. In Germany, what they had to do. Fans had to pay for them to have a caricature of themselves put in the seats of the stadium, and then it gave the impression that they were there. When the camera beamed, they saw their faces, and so it was like a double presence. You were present in the stadium in the form of a caricature, and at home you are watching yourself in the stadium. But then it was a revenue boost for, I think, Mönchengladbach and Borussia team. They 19 euros, and 2 days after they came up with the idea, fans over 10,000 fans had signed up paying. So where there is a will, there must be a way.
Have we lost? We must have lost so much money. I don't know if you have a mental picture of how much we must have lost to this COVID-19 in terms of sports and football.
Let's take the Olympics, for instance.
Okay.
The postponement itself has cost the Japanese government we're talking about $5 billion. That's for this postponement. And then the process of even adjusting the postponement itself is still ongoing. There were programs that were fixed for a particular time, like venues, which are not permanent, like those they were going to hire, the cars, the buses, the different levels of facilities needed to make the competition go for that particular period of time. Those were all signed, sealed, and set for that period. Now you're going to postpone. You have to go into a fresh agreement. Indeed, the president of the International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach, said it was for them easier and perhaps less cumbersome canceling the games than even postponing the games, because now they are thinking ahead with an adjustment. If the fans are not there, how is the Olympics going to? How are we going to set up the Olympics to ensure that it goes on? If the right kind of facilities are not in place, how do we adjust to ensure that it doesn't cause a problem in terms of spiking the virus? So there has been a drastic reversal of thinking, and now people have to be more pragmatic, more realistic, and then you ensure at least the minimum level of any intrusion from the virus. That is it is one Herculean assignment. And I don't envy even the Japanese. They did a survey the other day, and many of the Japanese said they don't think the Olympics will hold. In terms of even what they had been produced for 2020, that's why they didn't change the name. The Olympics in 2021 is going to be called Tokyo 2020 to ensure that some of the things they produce for that Olympic are not wasted. Yeah, so there's some guys were thinking. They went to work. Yes. So in 2021, we'll be having Tokyo 2020. And that is a resolution that has been adopted. And so all what they have for 2020 will be carried to 2021, and yet it will remain 2020. And I'm saying that we were to have our national sports festival in Benin, Edo 2020. The way things are going with the election in Benin, with the federal government saying that their concentration is not even towards sports now, with the numbers still rising, I can't see when we may have the sports festival. November look like the time. Will November be feasible for Nigeria's biggest sports event, its own mini Olympics? And then you can imagine the cost of putting the facilities to welcome over 10,000 athletes to Edo State. You can imagine how much that government has spent, even though they have not told us what they have spent. But having new venues, refurbishing the Ogbomudia Stadium, and then getting hotels that prepared even for the event. Some hotels were built afresh to welcome guests. And this is, if you look at it from the international level, it's the same thing, like in Tokyo. So the cost is huge, and sports is no longer a personal enterprise. It's big business. It's government. It's also about those who are ready to venture. They're ready to venture. So what is it? Look at Wimbledon. Wimbledon, for the first time ever, was postponed. That's the Grand Slam in London. They were good. They were good in their thinking. They went for insurance. They got. Of course, it's consistently been insured. So when the event couldn't hold, only last week they decided that the money they got for insurance, they will pay some of the players who had entered for the tournament. I mean, indeed, they had budgeted. Some of these players were thinking of winning to get the prize money. So the organizers have said, okay, let's see how we can. I mean, that is unique. It tells you the tradition of Wimbledon, that they're also thinking about the players who make the Grand Slam to tick. And so 200 or 300 have $25,000 each and all whatnot. And this is money that came from the insurance of cancellation.
I know you're very deep in terms of thinking and all of that. What would you call the lessons that we should learn? The lessons that are obvious that we all need to learn as we go along this route.
The lesson, as I try to paint first, we must start building our own treasures here.
How do you mean?
That means we have to start looking at the basic things we need to do, because there may come a time when we may not even have the opportunity to go out, given the lessons we have learned. So we have to improve on our health facilities, which is cardinal, and it's all round. Because if we have a good health infrastructure, our sports will even find a new vim. Players will no longer go to the stadium and be scared that if they have injuries and you take them to hospital, they may not have the kind of sophisticated medical equipment to take care of them. So health is key. It's the starting point. The lessons of health, of doing the things that can keep your people healthy. And they say health is wealth. So within the sports frame, the impact of that can be more. Imagine how long it took us to put the isolation centers. They even had to use the football stadia as isolation center. So if you had standard football stadia, which you can easily convert, and these football stadiums have the basic facilities, and you use them in this kind of emergencies, when they return to normal, you can still, know that your sports has a good inventory of prime sophisticated facilities that can also continue to improve the well. That is one lesson. The second lesson, of course, which is key, and adjacent to even the health, is the fact that our people we need to have confidence in our people. Confidence in our people, let them start thinking how to even find solutions to issues such as the virus.
Yeah.
Ordinary, what you call it, the mask. People were bringing masks to give us. Some countries went to town exporting masks. I mean, if we all have so many schools doing all kinds of courses, but we have to start thinking about our people getting involved to areas that matter. And who will have thought about it? That we needed now to start thinking of companies that can at short notice give us masks, at short notice ventilators, at short notice some key facilities that can help. And so the political trust, again, that is another lesson. Leaders who have to react appropriately, timely, not wait. Why are people so cynical about the numbers? Every day they say 500, they don't see, because the leadership itself has not taken the vital step of reaching out to the people to make them understand that you saw in Britain, Boris Johnson, the public health system was what treated him. Yeah. And he says he owes them a permanent debt, because he will have been history. Can we say that of our leaders? Now, some of them have COVID. We don't even know where they go to. And they come out after 14 days. And we hail them. But, I mean, what have they left behind? So that if somebody who is not as influential or as handsomely placed like the governors has COVID, where will he go apart from the isolation, which are overflowing now? Those are some of the elementary lessons. But the bigger picture is that we need to start getting our own things right and doing it at a level we can manage. For me, those are it's key. I want to take it about a broad sense, but at the sports level, too many lessons to be learned. Yeah, too many lessons. What it means is that when you are even building a stadium now, you should be thinking about a stadium which may not have a crowd. So your stadium must be highly TV friendly.
TV friendly, okay.
Yes, highly TV friendly. So when production companies come in, they set without all this going to build, put wood and everything to find an elevator. You have to start thinking ahead. Then the stance itself, the seating arrangement. The seating arrangement has to change in a way. No longer the FIFA diameter of 8 diameter seating space. Now you have to be looking at areas where seats can be, the distance between one seat and another can be, and it can be a VIP. So hospitality suites, when you are building stadium, hospitality suites, and that's where the money is in venues, where the VIPs can stay conveniently and watch. Go to Qatar and see what they are doing for the World Cup in 2022. You can stay in your hospitality suite in a stadium and don't move anywhere and watch the World Cup in bewildering comfort. Out of this world comfort, everything is there, and yet you are in the stadium. You are watching the pitch. And when they say amazing, it's just amazing. Those are the kind of thoughts we need to have for our people. You wonder exactly where we are moving when it comes to the vision. If I ask you today, what is the vision, the political vision of this country in terms of where we want to be in 2030? Everybody will reel out the same old things. Some of us were part of the sports 2010 master plan, sports master plan, the vision. We were part of 2020. We were saying that by 2020, Nigeria will be in a place to host the World Cup, to host the Olympics, to have more than 5 gold medals. That was the vision done in the year 2000. But we're in 2020. Indeed, the farther we go, the more backwards we are seeing. And that's the tragedy of our development. It's not been a sincere one. And all around we ask ourselves the simple question, where did we get it wrong? But I don't want to believe that even when we've gotten it wrong, we can still be right. We can still do the right things. Because as I say, righteousness exalts a nation. Just doing the little things right will make that nation good. And it doesn't take any extra, you don't need any extra tuition for that to know what is right and what is not right. What is right is that it took how many years for the stadium in Abuja to be named after MK Abiola, and now that it's been named, it's only now we're beginning to realize, and thanks to the new sports minister who is trying to see how he can get people to help improve on the stadium. But even that stadium in Abuja, which is part of the Abuja master plan, where is the rail line connecting it to all the suburbs of Abuja? You don't expect somebody living in Kubwa to go through the stress of buses and everything to come to that stadium. That's why you'll never get the full house. Brazil came to play Nigeria. That stadium was half filled. Indeed, most people who came from Lagos. Because Abuja, you have the surrounding
suburbs.
Yes, the suburbs. You have to connect. The Bernabeu in Madrid. Once you come down on the track, you are inside the stadium. Wembley, it's the same thing. The same thing with you guys who follow the English. Arsenal. You come down there. Chelsea, there's a bus stop. So we need to do the little things, You put a stadium, it's a thing of beauty coming into Abuja, you see. But how do people connect? Well, on a match day. How do they even go? How do you evacuate them? Those are the kind of once you ensure that there is comfort all around, people will want to be going there. You become and that's why I'm so excited with what they are doing with the National Theatre. That the bankers committee with Central Bank decided to take the National Theatre to a monument, and they've given them 2 years, like I said, according to them, 2 years. Let's see whether 2 years will be 2 years. Because, that's what they told us of Lagos-Ibadan Road, that are going to give us world-class highway. World-class highway, we have been on world-class highway till today. We are still waiting for the world-class highway. And you look at the work, you are not seeing any world-class work to give you a world-class highway. Today you stop, tomorrow you start. That's not how you do a world-class. There must be little effort all around. Effort is everything, but some of us don't even see the effort.